This is a question I get all the time. Should fighters be running? And when I say running, I'm referring to long distance, endurance style running. The answer to this question is very simple. It depends. It depends on the fighter, it depends on the goal, it depends on their specific situation. So the reason that there's so much confusion on this topic is you've got two schools of thought that just like to battle at each end of the spectrum. You've got the old school coach who likes to say, you got to get your road work in, you got to run, everybody should be running, all wrestlers, all fighters, everybody should be running. Then you've got the new school strength and conditioning coach and scientists who are saying, well, we've actually proven that there's a lot of better, more effective methods for improving aerobic fitness and cardiovascular endurance that have a less of a cost to it, so nobody really needs to be running, it's an ineffective strategy. And the answer is going to be somewhere in between. And it's always going to shift on that spectrum depending on who that athlete is. So this question came to me from a good friend of mine who's a professional MMA fighter, and he said his coaches were telling him he's got to get out, get his miles in, get his road work in to improve his conditioning. But he's had 2 ACL reconstructions, and he's got low back issues, and every time he runs, his joints hurt him for days afterwards. So when he said, what's the right answer? And for him, my job as a coach is to weigh the risk versus reward, or there's always going to be a cost and a benefit to any exercise. So we need to understand what's the goal, what are we trying to accomplish here, and is there a safer, easier, more effective method to get to that goal? And again, that's going to be dependent on each individual athlete. So the goal for him was he wanted to improve his aerobic endurance, his cardiovascular fitness. Those are benefits you can get from running. You can also get local muscular endurance in your lower body. You can also get a huge mental reset and therapeutic benefit. If you're somebody who enjoys running, there's a great recovery element to it. So there's a lot of potential benefits there. However, the cost is there's a lot of eccentric load and there's a lot of pounding of the joints on the pavement over time. There's a lot of steps that happen when you go and run for 35 minutes. So that's a lot of pounding, and if you don't have good technique and mechanics, that's a lot of stress, unnecessary stress on the joints to an athlete who already has a lot of stress on the joints. So again, weighing those benefits and costs, I would say for this specific athlete, running is not the most effective method to improve his conditioning. He enjoys swimming. Low impact, same benefits in terms of his cardiovascular fitness, so that's a great substitute for him. He doesn't enjoy running, so he doesn't get those therapeutic benefits from it, but he does enjoy the pool. So that's my answer is, if there's another method, there's plenty of different tools we can apply, as long as you understand the concepts. And people who don't understand the concepts, they argue about all the methods and the tools, but the reality is if you understand the why and you understand the concepts, you can apply all the different methods. Your job as a coach is to weigh the costs and the benefits of each potential strategy. And then the other thing for him, he said that the reason his coaches were telling him to get his miles in is he can fight for 2 hours straight. But when he goes hard in his wrestling and then he gets back up, he has trouble recovering in between some of those bouts. And I told him the running would be the wrong energy system. You don't need an aerobic base. You just told me you could fight for 2 straight hours. Your problem is you can't recover from high intensity bouts and you can't pull back down and recover in between those. So your aerobic base is going to have something to do with that, but that's not really what you need to be focusing on in this next 5 weeks leading up to your fight. So again, it's not a who's right, who's wrong. It's not a good versus bad. It's always going to be, it depends. And your job is going to be, what's the cost of this exercise? What's the potential benefit? And how does that apply to this specific athlete? And is there an easier, safer, or more effective method to get him to his goal? And if so, let's present those potential options, and then we can create a good prescription training plan. So that's my thoughts on whether or not fighters should be running to improve their cardiovascular fitness or running in general. Anybody who tells you that you have to be running or you never should be running, both of those people are wrong, and that'll help you sort through that information to figure out if it's the right strategy to help you get to your goal. I hope this video helps you out. I'm Coach PJ. Thanks for checking out my page. Share this one with any of your friends who are fighters, and make sure you tune in next time for more information.